Hello. So what was that thing you were just talking about? Drinks? This is really good, by the way.
Yeah, I was asking whether it was like 90% vodka, 10% cucumber, just for daytime
Yeah.
drinking. But I was telling you about the really helpful mum pages I follow on the internet. They give you hacks like just put wine in your travel mug. As long as you've got one of those tea bag things hanging out of it, who knows? It's Friday. It's
The street is fine.
fine.
It's Friday. Happy Friday. Welcome
Happy
back. Welcome
Friday.
back.
Welcome back.
We're back.
It's good to be back. It is good to be
It's good to
back.
be back. And this is we this is supposed to be our like short, sharp, quick versions, and we're already rambling about wine and vodka and all the rest
It's
of
the
it.
good stuff. It's
This,
the
by the way,
important
is a
things that people
matcha.
need to know.
This is a
What is
yeah,
it?
exactly. This is matcha. Matcha tea. Matcha. It's like a
Ooh.
matcha flat white.
Somebody's gone up in the world.
Either that, even more of a pretentious dick than I was before.
Who knew it was possible, Fence? Who knew?
Oh, goodness me. It's good to see you.
I've gone from being all lovely last Friday and being like, Spencer is an amazing person. I really appreciate him, to just like full on burns. Like when I actually speak to you.
That was a lovely message, though. It was a great
Well,
message.
full of the feels, full of the feels.
Full of the Friday feels. I love that.
Yes. So I think that that's kind of related to what we're talking about though today, isn't it? Getting oneself out online and actually being in the big, brave, bad world that is the internet.
I know. It's pretty scary out there. Gotta say it. It's pretty scary. But yeah,
Vomit inducing for some people.
yeah. But I think there is a way. I think there's a way to be yourself on out on the end. Blah 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 blah. There is there is a way
Number
to
one,
leverage
get
the
great
internet.
editing skills.
Yeah, exactly.
No, as you're saying, you are the master of this. You are far more experienced. So,
Oh no, I'm just getting. I think we're both just getting going. Really, I think
yeah.
there's a lot of lot of stuff going on out there on the internet. Of course, God, it's me. It's like we're back in 1998. It's a lot of things on that internet thing,
Feels busy, doesn't
but
it?
it's busy and it can be hard and it can be all consuming at times. But I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling quite positive about creating content at the moment, particularly.
Yes.
Feeling pretty good about how things are going. I feel like I'm in a bit of a routine. Dare I say it?
Ugh, that's a terrifying thing to say. It's
I
good
know.
though. It's what you want. Because the thing is, like, I know for me, the big thing was I spent the first year of my business just working out what on earth I wanted to do. I was enjoying that, mate. Is that tasty?
Lovely.
um, I think that a lot of people don't know what to say. I don't know. They don't know when to say it, what to say, how to say, all that kind of thing. And I know last year, definitely, I spent a lot of time. The majority of my income came from subcontracting, meeting wonderful people like you, and it gave me time and space to work out what I really would like to do in terms of like the coaching side of things and getting back into the startup community and yeah, and how to position myself. And to be fair, that's what I've been wrangling with for the last like 3 or 4 months. Like, how do you pull these things together? Like, I could just go, oh yeah, I'm good at stuff, but that is a pretty dull message. You need to talk to people and make it resonate. So I think there's a few things. Like, it's for me, it's kind of like knowing what you're selling and how yeah. So the kind of like, what is it you're selling and to whom, um, how you sell that, what mediums you use and what style you like, and then getting comfortable with it. Like, those seem
Mm.
to be the big things for me. And I know that I was like a rat up a drain pipe when we started talking, and I was like, do you fancy doing a podcast? And you were like, yeah, okay. And I was like, brilliant, okay, because I knew it would be a safe environment to get comfortable whilst I worked out what that was. And yeah, just feeling okay about being out online because it's scary out there. Well, it's not
Yeah.
actually. When you're there, it's fine. It's all good. But
But the perception is that you've got to present a version of yourself which is somehow perfect, because I think our view, and fairly narrow focused view about social media, is about people doing that, presenting themselves as perfect. You know, the Instagram world, the photo perfect situations that people kind of present themselves as, and we kind of get into this. And whether we think that or think something else about social media or the internet in more broadly, we do tend to think that it has, putting something out there, it's kind of permanent. It has to be a perfect representation. It has to be exactly right. And we're fearful often, I think, of feedback or critique, even though
yeah,
it's probably the best thing that you can get, particularly at an early stage when you're starting to kind of create content and put stuff out there. So yeah, it's understandable that people feel like this, because the world is like that in some ways,
yeah,
you know, and you do have difficult situations at times. But to your point, when you're there and you're kind of putting stuff, you know, you get into a bit of a habit and start to put, generally it only grows. The warmth from people generally grows.
yeah.
And it's definitely, I'm finding now that I've got this kind of interesting dichotomy, if you like, of like going for the numbers, the views,
Yeah.
the likes, the
The
action, the
vanity metrics.
interaction, all those vanity metrics, exactly, which definitely do give you a boost, right?
Oh
They
yeah,
may well be
100%.
vanity metrics, but there's something in that. There's something in that
Yeah,
feeling that you get when you get something that goes a bit bigger than you were expecting or whatever, versus like, forget all of those things, but does it generate the conversations that you really want to have?
yeah,
And ultimately, it, for me, it's all about getting to conversations. But
yeah,
in order to get to conversations, you've got to be getting to a certain reach, and you've got to be growing the top of the funnel, if you like, for
yeah.
the social content that you're creating. I'm in this point now where I'm trying to post every day on LinkedIn,
Hmm.
maybe twice a day on LinkedIn. I'm trying to mix up the kind of messages from something super simple and sometimes provocative, um, and to some things that are a bit more complex and a bit
Yeah.
more you have to kind of read and understand, and just trying to figure out what's resonating, but also it's like there's kind of like Venn diagram, isn't there? Of like, you know, the things that maybe it's like ikigai, like the things that you resonate with people, the
Yeah.
style that you want to create in and that works for you, your, you know, your voice, if you like, or whatever, and then you know, what your expertise and what your experience and what you can talk about. Maybe there's some kind of Venn diagram that I've not thought about since, but I'm going to jot it down now, just in
There
case that's a piece
definitely
of content for
is.
tomorrow.
On a Saturday? What the hell?
You know, I've not yet, but I'm the algorithm. The algorithm. Are we going to talk about the algorithm? The algo?
We will. Let's talk about it in a minute because I just
Yeah.
want to kind of like carry on from something you were saying. So I have a different experience. So for me, it's me. I talk about certain things, and it's very much a case of people need to understand what I do, and the best way for me to understand what I do is to talk about things and try and just actively help them, because they're like, oh right, okay, that thing resonates, right, if she can help me with that, she might be able to help me with this, brilliant. But the bigger thing for me, I find at the moment, so I have the vanity metrics and all those kind of things, and it's amazing. Like you're like, okay, yeah, brilliant, right, we're on the right track. This is resonating people. But to be fair, the majority of work that I've got coming through and the calls that I'm having at the moment are coming from outside of that. But people then go to LinkedIn to see what I'm like as a person. So I have to turn up with an authentic voice. Otherwise, there's a total disconnect. And actually, one of my coaching calls, we have a giggle. We have, we talk about heavy things, we talk about scary things, we dig deep, but we also have a blast. And they can see that's what I'm like. And that for me is the most important thing. I know there's, a huge thing a lot of people kind of turn to me like, right, okay, I'm on the internet. It's almost like I need to put a tie on and be like, hello, I'm going to talk about this. And that's what I was like at first. I did some videos last year, which made me cringe to my inner core because I just couldn't shake shackles off, essentially, get comfortable. And because you assume that you have to talk in a certain way, you assume that other people are going to judge you, blah, 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 blah. But actually, I read a thing recently and it was like, imagine you're talking to a group of your biggest fans or a group of your best friends who love you, unconditionally. Like, let it be the Bex that they meet down the pub who knows what she's also talking about and, can be relaxed and engaged in all those things. That's the one they want to work with. That's the one they're going to get to work with. So if you have this very much like, I'm very formal and I'm this, and this, it doesn't resonate with people. They're not interested. So it can be a case of you have a strategy where you need to get the reach and you need to get the engagement, and LinkedIn's where you find your potential customers. But don't underestimate the fact that you might find them elsewhere and they just come to have a bit of a nose, see what you like.
It's such a good point. Yeah, actually, both. But those 2 points really, or at least 2 points. Firstly, like sometimes you're right. It's the first touch point that people have with you. It's the first time they've come across you, and therefore that's a consideration. But equally, it might be someone checking you out, that have come across you in a different way. Maybe there's been a referral, someone's mentioned you or whatever it is. And then you go into like, well, what's this person really like? And I totally agree. It's got to be your authentic self. If I have a slight issue with your authentic self,
okay,
because I don't know I still struggle to know what that really is for me. And I think other people probably do a little bit as well. But I think it's what comes naturally. Let's just go with that kind of simple definition. What comes naturally in the way that you are. I think that I saw something about the Japanese concept of like the 3 different faces of you or whatever. I think, but I'm going to be getting this wrong.
You're drinking matcha tea. You're talking about Japanese concepts. You've changed.
Exactly.
What happened to that boy from Coventry?
You know that thing about authenticity? There's some things. I'm joking. It's fine.
Superb. Yeah,
this is one of the most. I'm going to talk. Yeah, like there's these 3 faces. Like there's one which is your kind of properly public face, which is like how you want to present yourself to the world. There's the face that's your family and close friends, and then there's the face that you never share. Like the face that nobody ever sees, the kind of like maybe it's your dark moments or your intimate thoughts or whatever it is, the things that are kind of very personal to you that you never want to share with anyone. And I think that's kind of an interesting thing, and like figuring, and maybe it's a spectrum, right? I guess it's actually there's some things that you don't want to share in ways of being that you don't want people to know about, perhaps, and behaviors that you might have that you try to repress a little bit because of a certain thing. There's other things that you want to be like, that's the person I want to be at the end, or the way I want to have people view me at the other end of this spectrum, perhaps, and trying to figure out along that journey where you are and where you want to be and how you want to show up. I think is kind of interesting.
I think it's. I mean, for me,
the Coventry thing, by the way, that was at this end. That was at the like.
Is that the face you don't want anyone to share? Like, okay, the other end of the spectrum. Yeah, and I think it's it's like for me, like swearing was a big thing online. I know it sounds ridiculous, but like I know in terms of like my copywriting and things, I'm kind of like, ooh. So I never want anyone to think, oh, I wouldn't want her to run a workshop because she F's and blinds all the time. I know my place. It's like I don't swear in front of my grandparents. Like I'm not stupid. But on the flip side, like if you meet me, like it's laid back. And I think if I can write a bit of copy that reflects me on a great day when I'm in a great mood or I'm in a great meeting or I'm having, and yeah, I'm at my most relaxed, engaged and creative, then that's an epic bit of copy as far as I'm concerned. That makes me happy. Not to say I'm even there yet, but there are some things that I write and I go, yeah, that sounds like me. And the other things I'm like, oh, who on earth's she? And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Just getting comfortable. I mean, you don't also have to lay yourself bare. Some people really do lay it all out there. And the concept of that makes some people feel uncomfortable. The reading that makes some people feel uncomfortable. So it's very much a case like what works for you. I know that I've written a couple of bits of content which will go out in the next couple of weeks, and they are very much about what coaching got me personally and the reason why I went into coaching. And, you know, that is, it essentially took me from a Bridget Jones-esque character working in agencies who was just a bit of a mess like 15 years ago, through to someone who, you know, is a long-term relationship, incredibly happy and in love, adopted a child, saw me through infertility issues, IVF, all sorts of big things. And that will be written, and on a day where I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty bulletproof, it'll go out. But it'll only go out when I say it goes out, and it only goes out when I go and I'm in the mood for it and I'm feeling good about things. There's other stuff and I'll be like, that's not today. We'll talk about gamification. That's an easy one. That's nothing about me, you know. So it's kind of like measuring it, isn't it? And what you feel comfortable. But for me as well, a big thing is baby steps. You don't have to. So in the same way you can learn how to do it and what to do it, you know, take little steps. Simone Soul, I think Simone Grace Soul, who's a coach marketer that I follow on the gram, she talks about the garbage post challenge of posting, I think it's 100 bits of content over 30 days. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be a picture of your feet. It could be a picture of the dog. It does not matter. It's getting it out there so your nervous system realizes that it's not dangerous. No one's really watching. So you can get comfortable sending stuff out, and I'd hardly recommend someone doing that, because that means that you're okay posting things, and you can start to work out what you want to say, how you want to say it, etc. Because it's often just getting out there. I mean, I went like a roving idiot in a wood earlier this week on stories and Instagram because it's something I had to do, because that's what happens on that social media platform. I luckily didn't bump into anybody. The dogs didn't judge me too badly. You know, it was helpful for a couple of people. Brilliant, job done. It's just getting comfy, isn't it?
It is. And you made a couple of amazing points there. First one being, like, first step is post something. Second step is carry on posting something. And then maybe the third step is get good at posting things, like get the quality better. And I think it's Ali Abdul in his YouTube course. He talks about this. I can't remember what the numbers are. Make 10 videos and then make 10 or make one video a week or whatever it is. And then it's make one good video a week. But that can come after a year or however long, you know. So it's about just slowly getting better on each of those, on an element of the content perhaps, and then focusing on the quality. So, and the great thing is, the other thing that you mentioned there is, like, no one's listening to start with. No one's reading to start with. You haven't got any followers. You haven't got any people that are, you know, so make the most of that lack of audience to try things out, to just get going, to start and then not stop. And I think that's just it's in some ways, it's a bit of a mental gymnastics flip, right? Once you get used to the fact that no one's listening and no one gives a shit, actually, then you can see that as like a superpower, right? And then you just go, oh, I can say what the hell I want because no one's actually watching it. And if anyone is, then great, but it doesn't matter. And I think actually it's I think that's where the Diary of a CEO Stephen Bartlett thing came from at the beginning of every one of his podcasts. I think he still says, I hope no one's listening, but if you are, shit, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, because he was literally in a cupboard doing this thing for the first time himself, and no one was listening. So,
and no one goes back. So it's especially on Instagram, you know, with the stories and things. And to be fair, even, you know, on LinkedIn, unless you dig through someone's profile, it's not as easy to find as the grid on Instagram. So you can get comfortable. And I mean, for me, it was like, oh my God, all my friends on Instagram who unfortunately been dragged across now to what is a business page, you'll be like, what is she muppeting on about now? But I've had 3 people in the last fortnight who are my friends, or, you know, and they're definitely, they are my friends. I'm allowed to say they're my friends. They are my friends. Who actually come up to me and gone, you know, I think it's a case of the reason why I'm faltering on that was because they're not close enough that they would just picked up the phone and be like, "Hi Beck, I want to start this thing." But I've been in their company and they've gone, "Right, I know what you do. I've been thinking about this thing for some time. I want to do it. Let's go." And I'm like, "Fuck yes, let's
Fuck
go."
yeah.
And that's because I've been a roving dickhead in the woods. You're like, "This is how you start your business." And you need to tell people what you do, because you need to tell people what you do, how you can do it for them, how they can buy from you. Stop hiding your light under a bushel. And yeah, because I know so many people who are sat just getting themselves in knots of perfectionism and not doing things. And I'm all about messy action at the moment and just getting things out there. And even if you start out, I think one of the things that the big blockers is people just see people. Well, like you, to be fair, like your videos that go on YouTube are normally very polished, very beautiful, but you are very technically capable. So you're very good at storytelling. You've got a lovely setup. AV, all these things. And people are like, "Oh, God, how do I compete with that?" I mean, go back and look at his old stuff. It's not as good as it is now.
Oh,
But,
do you know, here's a story. The very first podcast thing I did with Nick, we had the camera the wrong way. So it was it was supposed to be for YouTube. We had the camera the wrong way. We did it vertical, so it could. For episode 1, you can't even watch. You can only listen to, because we got it complete. That's how bad it was, and we were
that's the
using a
thing. No one
camera. We
goes
were using a
back,
phone.
do they? So
No.
we only ever
Every
see.
time it got better. This is the point, right?
Yeah.
Every time it got a little bit better. We used a different software with the phone. We got a different light, and we got a thing. We got the storytelling a little bit better, and we just crafted over time.
And that's the thing. Yeah, people will not go back. Everyone has learned how to do the things that they're doing, so it's okay. And it's some people are innately great at some things, but a lot of the times because they've learned stuff. When we first met, I was like, right, okay, what microphone do I need? What kind of lighting do I need? I didn't really need a lot of kit. There was, it was probably an outlay of 250 quid, if that, just to make me feel comfortable that it wasn't going to sound like I was sat in a tin can. And you build from there, don't you? You just get better.
And the great thing is with that is that, and this hopefully doesn't piss you off too much, but of course with technology, all of these like high quality sounds and visuals and whatever else are now replicable in different ways. Today I've recorded a podcast this morning on my other channel, link down below, and I recorded
Cheating on me, Spencer.
40
Cheating.
50 minutes, great conversation. You should definitely check it out. All about communications and pitching, with a focus on startups, basically, with Jenna Dominique. Really nice episode. She's lovely. And where am I going? Recorded it, 45 minutes, AI edited, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I put because I just wanted to try Adobe Podcast, which is a brand new beta software from Adobe. You put in any audio file, and it can be like a dreadful, really far away from a normal iPhone recording at a distance. Put it in there, and it sounds like broadcast quality microphone, and it's free.
That is going to up
At the moment,
my
it's
wood
completely free.
game. Like my walks in the wood are going to become so much higher quality.
Honestly, it blew my mind, and I was like, "Damn!" Like, so basically, like within 15 minutes, I've got, and it was good quality anyway, but even better, it's edited, it's on YouTube, ready to go, and that's an hour's work with a 45-minute conversation.
That's
And
phenomenal.
it can be done. It can be done so easily these days. And then once you get rid of this, the point here is like once you get rid of those perceived barriers, because mostly people go, and these are questions that I get asked a lot: what equipment have you got? Like, what's your setup look like? How do you edit? Those kind of, they're perceived barriers that are just stopping people from getting going. Once you get rid of those, and you go, okay, I just need to start. Just need to get going, need to do something, and then you realize that none of that stuff needs to hold you back. What you need, what then you kind of realize is the real problem that people have, which is something that they're not often wanting to accept, is like, what is it that I want to say? What's the story here? What's the thing that I want to communicate? And I think that's a far harder challenge to get over. And I was thinking about this last night of like, what's that phrase of like, I've forgotten more about this than whatever, than other people know, whatever that phrase is. I was thinking like, there's so many things that I've done in the past, particularly 10 years, and like presentations I've done and videos I've done and all these things like that exist probably somewhere in the world. There's probably 2 years of daily content within all of that stuff. Wow. Right? And all I need to really do is go, when I have a moment where I'm going like, what am I going to post tomorrow? Just jump into something that you previously done, a project, a lesson that you learned, anything. And there's something in there. There's something in all of the experiences that we've had. What I really need is some AI. If there's anyone out there that's really good on this stuff, some AI that can go through everything I've ever done and then, here we go. Okay, everything I've ever done, and then create the video script, the LinkedIn post, the
caption,
simple diagram of everything that I've ever done for the last 42 years. Please. That's all I want.
I don't think LinkedIn needs to know what you were up to as a 7-year-old. I've got to be honest, like that doesn't feel...
I think 7-year-old is probably fine. 17, definitely not a good place. That's not my authentic self anymore.
But I mean, this thing, there is definitely... So going on the AI thing, just as a little like going down a rabbit hole, my other half was saying about there is someone developing an AI tool that will go through all your like emails, anything like social media stuff, any videos of you, etc. And they can be put into a robot. And that robot then can help you in later life. So it'd be like, so when I've got dementia, probably in about 5 years, it's saying, do you remember when you went to Barcelona in 2015 and you went here and you had a lovely time and wasn't this a great thing? And it helps with, dementia care and all that kind of thing so there's an amazing thing. So even if it's just a case you're uploading yourself online for that benefit purely.
Wow.
But later life friends, do it.
Yeah. That's making me think of something else. I just want to build on that a minute.
Yeah.
It's making me think of something else. Like I was thinking about this the other day, of like AI, and especially with like deep fake voice AI and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could get an AI to talk in a voice of someone that you know, not just someone that's famous. So, and with this, you could get the AI to be talking like, imagine, oh God, this is really like more. What's the word I'm looking for? Morbid. Yes. But imagine you had a tragic circumstance in your life and a friend or partner or whatever passed away. Surely, I don't know if that's a good thing. Would you want an AI that basically would talk about the memories?
There is an episode of Black Mirror where someone's died. Yeah.
Maybe I got it from that. Actually, there's a new series of Black Mirror coming out soon as well.
Getting us back on topic, though.
Sorry.
It's
no,
I love this stuff, but like this is not going well for us. This new style, is it? Like, but essentially, so the big thing for me, I've been told that essentially you need to build trust and authority on the subjects that you want to speak about. So is it like that? No, like trusting is you as a human being, so people know who they're working with, who they're interacting with, and then a voice of authority and expertise in a certain area. And generally speak 3 kind of pillars. So I have 3 pillars in my business, and that's about mindset. So all that kind of like organizational psychology, coaching, positive psychology, all that kind of amazing stuff helps people be resilient and brave. Growth hacking tactics, etc. And then there are like solid foundations and how you get your business, in the shape it needs to be. So hopefully, other than random stuff again on the other social media thing where, people need to know of me as me, so they will see the occasional picture of me in a boat with my daughter. They know what they're getting from you, so it doesn't feel schizophrenic. And that's the thing, like you need to be the go-to person where it's like, oh, I've got a problem with this thing. I'm pretty sure Beck talks about that. Like they know what to kind of expect from you, and also delivering value. So we've got a mutual friend who's just like, oh my God, if I see one more thing where it's someone like, really happy to have been at this conference today, Nobody cares. Tell me what you learnt. Tell me give me some value. I mean, I put a post out the other week and it was like, these are the things I learned from listening to VCs at a launch of a new tech accelerator I'm going to be working at. Bam, 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 bam. Everyone loved it. Super
Yeah.
helpful, super valuable. One of the things you've said, we had a conversation the other day and you're totally right. Like simple, have one point. And we learnt that. I learnt that from the back of my ramble in the woods, which was essentially like a fucking TED talk. But one thing, like people don't have time to sit and consume long form stuff. So yeah, be simple, be on point,
Yeah.
be
She
yourself,
says,
and
whilst talking for so far 30 odd minutes about all kinds of things.
yeah. Again, it's a learning curve.
I think it's fine because I think we're basically doing this for us, right? Because we enjoy
Yes,
this, we enjoy this
yes,
conversation,
we
and
do.
you know, now with the magic of AI tools, we can put it out there without too much hassle, which is actually one of the
Exactly.
things, right? And just to come back to that, you know, it takes time. It really does take time, but there are so many ways to speed things up, and there's so many ways to create, I guess, systems of
Hmm.
content, systems of ways that you can be efficient with these kind of things. Now, I'm really interested to hear if you've got anything in place like that. But one of the things that I do is I walk my dog every morning now
Nice.
because I can walk, because I had a knee operation, which is amazing, and I can actually walk properly again. So I walk for about half an hour. Not crazy, just, decent walk, stroll out.
Yep.
I'll generally listen to some kind of podcast or something, and I'm listening to it not deeply, but in a way that it's allowing my thoughts to kind of go a bit all
Nice.
over the place.
Yep.
And then what I'll do generally, I'll get about halfway, and this has happened probably every time for the last, well, yeah, like 10 days or something like that. I'll get halfway and then I'll go, I just need to capture this idea, and I'll voice memo or voice transcribe
Yep.
something, some ramble kind of thing, very loosely defined thing, but I get it into text so it transcribes it. And then I've got those kind of backed up as possible content ideas that
Yep.
then I'll find half an hour here and there to basically go through them and edit them, try and make them more simple, try and bring the story to life a little bit more.
Nice.
And then basically I've just got into one because LinkedIn and YouTube are the two platforms that I'm not doing anything on Instagram, I'm not doing anything on Twitter, all about LinkedIn, and I'm loving it. And I think the conversation is really great and the engagement seems to be really good on LinkedIn, and then YouTube
Yep.
for kind of longer stuff. And then linking to it as well. But then, then I'll use the scheduling tool, which I've never used in LinkedIn previously.
Yeah. Great.
But I schedule, and it's great. And it happens like I sometimes need to be careful about not being in an all-day workshop and then posting,
Yeah.
because some notifications start hitting pretty hard, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and of course then what you want to do and what I try to do is post those at a time where I know I can be around for a little bit, because I think with the algorithm, and I don't know much about it, but like it makes sense if it's going to push things that are going well. So if you get comments quickly, comments before likes is what I hear. So if you get
Yep.
if some people comment on your things straight away, then it's going to start to push it further. And then if you get, and responses as well. So I want to get responding, so you get more comments
Yep.
as early and as quick as you can. And that process of like capturing things in the first thing in the morning when I'm fresh and the ideas are kind of sparking a little bit, then
Yep.
spend some time kind of editing those, schedule them up, and then I'm only working a couple of days ahead of myself,
Hmm.
but that's enough to give me a bit of a buffer. So
Yes.
that's how I'm kind of focusing on things at the moment.
I'm not dissimilar. I have a bit of a plan. I sit down and write. So against those three pillars I have, I sit and write down some obvious things that I kind of want to talk about and get those. And they tend to be the ones that are more like the stuff I build on Canva. So the more graphics, etc. The ones like this morning about your boss being a dick, that I just bashed out because it came into my head and I was like, yeah, ba 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 ba. I tend to voice note as well. I've learned I can't just rely on a shorthand title of it because I'll forget what the extended concept was. The meta planning tool is great, as is LinkedIn. do some research on hashtags. Don't try and be a small fish in a big pond. So try and pick hashtags that have got less usage if you want to stand out. I've been told to try and interact against those hashtags or interact against content around the time you post as well, because that tricks the algorithm to thinking you are active, and the quicker you can get likes, the quicker it kind of gets pushed out further. If you can tag people who have a great following and will interact with you, then fantastic, because it obviously gets spread that bit further. What else? I think I'm very similar to you. I'm less polished, and that's something I need to get better at, and I need to stay on message. Also breaking up the captions in such a way that actually the eye's drawn down. Use some emojis and things. You don't have to go like bonkers, because that can be a bit too much. Talking about who you are and why you do it in case something does go a bit wide. One of my clients recently posted something about being a co-founder to her husband, with a husband. She got around 7,000 likes, and I was speaking to her yesterday. It's been viewed, and this is quite like vomit inducing, was it 746,000 impressions?
Wow.
And that was literally just a case of like, here's a picture of us at 17, here's a picture of us, and maybe it was like 14, 15, here's a picture of us X amount of years later in like our late 20s, we're married, we're starting this business, like here's the amazing things about co-founding with your husband, and here's the not so great things. And even what's his name now, Hugh, I can't think what his name is, the BBC dude who's like the royal correspondent, Hugh Edwards, is it?
Maybe.
Even
He's
he was
definitely
like messaging her
Wow.
about it.
Crazy.
I know. So it's worthwhile, it is worthwhile putting stuff out there, because you never know what's going to happen with it. And good things can happen with it.
That's a really good point. And you said this a minute ago about telling people what it is that you do. I'm not good at that. I generally, I write these posts. I'm just starting to kind of realize that. And now I'm like adding something at the end. And I think we as, British kind of like, that's not how we do things. We don't like to show off or, announce who we are in an over the top kind of way. But equally, like if people don't know who you are, what you do, then it's never going to do anything, right? So I'm starting to just feed in these subtle kind of like, here's how I work with clients, or this is the process that I have, or whatever else. And this is the impact perhaps that these kinds of things have had. And I think, but it's an easy thing to forget, I think. So good reminder.
As a self-employed consultant, coach, whatever, you eat what you kill. If you ain't out there hunting, you ain't eating. It's that simple. And I think a lot of people, so imagine you got your dream job, you would hustle to keep that as long as possible. A lot of self-employed people wait until they're like, well, at some point I'm just going to have to go back and get a job, aren't I? Or you can go hustling.
Yes.
If you love what you do enough, go hustle to find people will want to work with you. So I went into hustle mode 3 weeks ago. I put some planning in, I put some foundations down, but now I'm like, this is how you can work with me. This is what you can do. This is how we can work together. This is the kind of things I do with people. The idea of that 4 or 5 months ago I had to go and lie down somewhere. But I'm averaging, I think I've had 5 chemistry calls this week. I've got 4 in the diary for next Friday, and that's the only day I'm working next week. And I've got 1 in the diary for the following week.
Wow.
It's how you're going to get clients, because you have to be having conversations. They have to be experiencing what you do. They have to understand what is. So you need to go, hello, I do this. This is how I do it. Would you like to work with me? As well, speaking about the problems someone's facing and the symptoms of those things, tell somebody, that's my kind of person. Like the reason I spoke today, I want to work with people who self-employed, whether they're founders or the consultants, who have got some mindset blockers and things, and also they want to get their business in great shape. So I'm talking about the fact that, the inner critic is doing all these things and, being a nightmare and causing chaos because they're like, yes, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, and that's the thing I can do about it. Oh, she knows about those things. Brilliant. You need to be out there. You need to be talking about it, because if you want to bring your services to life and have people buy from you, you've got to tell people about it, because otherwise it ain't going to happen. Quite simply. Brutal truths on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, I just needed to pause on that for a minute. Um, yeah, you're absolutely right. 1 second. 1 second.
Okay.
Sorting the school run.
Ah, sound.
Oh no, I can't just edit. I'm gonna have to cut this bit out. Actual manual, proper cut this bit out. Oh,
Leave it in. We're all about messy action, Spencer.
messy.
Messy
All
action.
right.
I'm all about messy action at the moment. At the end
Oh,
of the
I
day,
don't
I'm
know.
not doing anything that makes me cringe to my inner core in terms of quality. It's helpful stuff. It's better being out there than not being out there. We're leaving it in.
I agree. Amazing. Really, that's like it's really helpful. Like it's really lots of food for thought. I think you're right, and I think I've had a bit of a change in the last couple of weeks as well about that. I think it comes from self belief actually. So you mentioned something really interesting a minute ago. Like a lot of people that are freelancers, they kind of don't push, really hustle, and really push themselves because of an inbuilt protection mechanism, which goes, I might have to get a job at some point, a real proper job. And I think what hopefully happens, and I've definitely sensed it in you, and I feel like that's with the same with me. And we were talking about this the other day as well. Is that there's been a trigger point for me, and actually, I said this to Nicola, my wife, yesterday. I think it was of like, finally feels like a business. This thing that I'm doing now, particularly with Johnny, this feels like a business now rather than something that we do together every now and again. And like, what an amazing feeling, right? Because what we're delivering is like super high quality. So like that moment where you do something, you go, I'm so proud of that work. It's incredible. The best work I've done, that kind of level of feeling when we're finishing these workshops. Genuine impact. People coming back to us afterwards and going, that was great. Can we do another thing? I've got another challenge over here, another problem. Is there anything we can do over there? Genuinely feels like it's a business. And the irony being that we don't have a website. We haven't really told anyone what we're actually doing yet. And now I think from next week onwards, when we're going to very quickly, can I commit to this? Yeah, I'm going to put it out there. We're going to very quickly start to build up this website maybe, and just to signpost people to the actual thing that we've got going on. We've got the propositions all sorted out. Everything is going really well, but it's all very verbal and kind of word of mouth at the moment. But then it's a matter of really sharing what it is that what we're really doing. And this build up
But
of content over the last few weeks for me has been getting to this point, and now I really want to kind of start to grow and push out this business idea.
yeah, it's amazing. But the thing is, you've done that whole thing of testing the concept. Not only have you tested the
Yeah.
concept and make sure the market's available, like your clients, and they are big clients. They are like huge clients,
Yeah.
dream clients. Love it. And they don't just love it, they fucking love it. And the fact that, people are going, I was in this, right, I want to use it. I'm also going to tell other people in other departments, and then like, yeah, shout it from the rooftops. Like that is, and I think often it's easier to sell a thing. It's easier to sell a thing. I mean, I had no problem over the years selling all sorts. I've sold all sorts of things over the years, from site accommodation to all sorts of random stuff. Even startups. When I was working in startups, absolutely no problem selling stuff because it wasn't me. But when you have to go, hello, I do this thing. Would you like to technically buy me? It's just like, oh God, no, please don't make me do that. But it's if you want to be self-employed, unfortunately, unless you want to be a contractor, like or a subcontractor, and that's great. Don't I do that as well?
Yeah.
you need to feel comfortable in your skills. You need to know, like, remember what you were great at when you were employed, why someone employed you because you were great at doing stuff, and just get other people to employ you, but on a short-term basis. But unfortunately, you have to interview for that, and you interview for that by being out there. It's that simple.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. I feel
Thank you.
the reason I had the green drink a minute ago was because I was like, I was really in that kind of lull, that post lunch. I'm a bit tired. Am I really up for this? Feel like I need a bit of a, a healthy-ish boost. And when you're doing something you love because you're energized, so much more energized after doing a thing. And I always feel like that with you. And today,
Snap, mate.
I'm like ready to take on the world. And yeah, thank
You
you.
and Stan should go for a run. Now your knee's fixed. Find yourself a nice field. Go for a Theresa May style run.
So Stan he went to the groomers yesterday. He hasn't been clipped, but he is the fluffiest thing you've ever seen. Do you want to see? Shall I grab Stan?
Yes.
See?
Yes, I haven't seen
Let's have
Stan in a very long time.
Stan update. One sec. Hey, buddy. Here we go. He's like a bundle of fluff. Look at him.
Look at him. He's huge. He was like that big last time I saw him. Oh, Stanley, you adorable creature. What a dog. Amazing.
So there you go. There's Stanley.
Nice.
And
Excellent work.
we're having our house decorated at the moment, and he just ran straight into the paintbrush. So he's got a slightly white beard.
Adamant style, like Prince Charming look.
Oh goodness. Yes, thank you.
Amazing.
What an uplifting thing this has been. Hopefully, this AI thing is going to just work, and it's going to magically going to appear
Fingers crossed.
on YouTube in the next period of time. I'm really committed to
That was impressively non-committal. Congratulations.